9 o'clock on the dot, as always. Tuesday Night Live. You guys ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It is Tuesday Night Live with Chiro Destiny, Rick and Brett, along with a great chiropractor, entrepreneur, visionary, Dr. Joe Esposito from Illinois. We know of Dr. Joe through Susan Mitchell, one of our own, who practices near Joe, but this is not an ordinary chiropractor. This is sort of genius in the making, if you will. Come on, I'll boost it up for you. Don't worry about it.
All right, come on, keep it going.
Keep it going.
The master of disaster, the king of steam.
And so a little different. So Joe, for starters, let's hear a little bit about your journey. You know, chiropractor, come out of school just like the rest of us, and where everyone seems to be just plodding along and doing their thing, and you know, gets the little volume and gets a little thing going on. You came out like a rocket ship. Like, tell us a little bit about your story.
You know, I have a Susan Mitchell story attached to the story. So how about that? I remember I was at a CJ Merckx camp. It was like a year into practice, and people like, "What do you want to do?" And one guy stands up and goes, "I want to do 200 visits a week." And the next guy gets up, "I want 500 visits a week." And everyone's giving this number. I'm like, I'm going to close hospitals across the U.S. I'm bankrupting CVS. I am going nuts, in this group. And they're like, holy cow. So I remember telling Susan Mitchell this story that, like, I'm going to close hospitals all over the town. So she has someone draw out a hospital with tumbleweeds going through it and a broken wheelchair. This picture I got on my wall. It's a greatest. But yeah, I don't know. I just always wanted I always loved Helen Keller's concept of like, you got to live bigger than yourself. Like your mission has to be outside of who you are. And I always wanted to stretch more than my personal goals or my ego to how I can deliver right to the profession, even as a student, kind of in a weird way. And it served me well. A crazy ride, but it served me well.
So, what I find interesting about you, we were just talking before we went live, in that you have such a big vision. You talked about wanting to leave a legacy. You have multiple offices, franchises, wanting to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And yet you said to us that the ultimate legacy was this huge research project to give credibility to chiropractic, really as the biggest legacy. That's really what you want. Tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing now to fulfill the vision, and then how it leads to the legacy.
So what we're doing is trying to build the largest group of unified offices under one brand, so we can remove the variables when we get to the stage of research, like how did they get adjusted? Did they get x-rayed? All these variables in chiropractic that were denounced by the medical industry because, oh, there's 6 people in that study, that's garbage, or there's too many variables. So what we want to do is create the largest database of natural healthcare chiropractic patients that we can segment by disease and showcase the remarkable impact chiropractic makes that we all see every day. And it's always been disheartening to me that we can't stand up with research. And even 20 years in practice, I'd leave my adjuster room with my jaw on the floor like, did that really just happen? Did they really say that? How come no one knows this? And it would be frustrating to me. I'd celebrate it, but then I'd leave like, how come people don't know this? So I just want to show medical what we do. And on my journey, I've opened offices I had an office in a spine surgeon's office, so everyone got adjusted before surgery. I had an office in an OBGYN's office. So, I adjusted all the people that couldn't get drugs or that were in the OB. I've had offices in hormone clinics, all through the medical industry. I just brought chiropractic. And kind of funny story, I was in the OB's office and they didn't send anyone to me. And that was my 5th office at the time. And I was pretty busy. So I'm like, if I'm going to sit here, I want you to send me some people. So I was leaving that day and I go outside and 2 people open their trunks in the parking lot. One woman in a black suit, one man in a black suit, and they were taking bags of drugs out. It was like a TV show, Paxil, Prozac, and the other one had the 2 bags. And they both had 2 bags and black suits, and they're coming towards me, and I'm leaving, not seeing anyone that day. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I turn around and I walk back and I go, listen, if I'm going to be here in this OB's office, I'm doing rounds with you tomorrow, everyone you see. So he said, okay. So the first patient I go in, it was the funniest thing because she's like, well, my hand's kind of numb holding the baby. And I tap on her shoulder. I go, let me see her. She goes, okay, why don't you see Joe? And I go, and it's chiropractic. It was a subluxation. Go in the next room. The lady's like, well, I don't want to take drugs. I'm pregnant with my low back. And I'm like, hey, and he looks at me and goes, all right, Joe. The third one, it was neck pain. And he said, if I go into the next room and it's a chiropractic case, I'm going golfing. So that was 3 out of 3 in an OB's office. And we don't realize what chiropractic can do. It's just amazing. Did the same thing in the spine surgeons. He kicked me out because he wanted to lower his liability by trying chiropractic first. He goes, your failures I'll take. He didn't have enough failures, so he kicked me out. He said, I can't make any money.
And there you have it.
So that gave me the confidence to say, we gotta research this. This is insane.
But I gotta ask because again, we have people listening, and we'll certainly send a replay out. And a lot of the chiropractors these days can't even understand your fearlessness because they're like, you're in a spine surgeon. I'm afraid to even talk. I don't want to shake the hand of a spine surgeon because he might ask me a question on an orthopedic test that I may not, everyone's already into their head spinning of, I'm just too afraid to even talk to these people. And you're like this little young whippersnapper, like, move over, dude. I got this. So have you always just been a fearless dude?
No, I got kidnapped as a child and taken to a chiropractor. My wrestling coach kidnapped me and brought me to a chiropractor because I wanted to be a surgeon. And I said, I'm not going to a quack. And he says, you come with me. I wouldn't go. So he calls my mom and gets a note after practice. Says, we're going. I go, no, you're not. I go, I got a note from your mom. I go, are you kidnapping me to a chiropractor? He said, get in the car. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to get in this car. And after, 2 years of pain, 1 adjustment, I was that miracle. And I instantly got pissed off because I'm like, why didn't anyone tell me this story? So I became a love of antagonists because I was that antagonist. So now I'm like, I got to tell everyone because I was pissed. No one told me. So it just became my mission to, break down doors. I've been on public forums with oncology talking about natural healthcare versus chemotherapy and 300 people in a library in south of Chicago, crazy stuff. And the truth is easy. It's not scary to me because it's so simple. If we look at the cascade of medical, it's like from leeches to antibiotics to genetic medicine. And we're like, oh, we adjust the spine in the 1900s. We adjust the spine in the 50s. We adjust the spine in 2000. Well, that's freaking boring. Well, the truth, you just hold on to the truth, right? It doesn't change. So I think we got to be more confident every year we do the same thing for 100 years, right?
I got a 2-part question. Part 1, and this is kind of like a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Since you're working with so many chiropractors, especially opening more and more offices, I think you said you're up to 30 offices
About
now?
30, yeah.
So you own about 30 offices. You have this franchise going. Your goal is to get to 100, which I have no doubt you will. What do you see? So part 1 question is, what do you see when you take on some of these newer practitioners, if they are newer, people that just want to be part of your franchise? What do you observe as to the ones who are successful and the ones who are continuing to struggle? What do you observe in their qualities and traits, characteristics, personalities, whatever? And then the second part is, you kind of touched on it before, is how do we move this profession forward in your observation by the research that you're doing and the things that you're currently doing?
That's loaded. Whew.
Yeah, baby.
Everyone get ready for, we'll do it in 2 parts.
Take a breath, take a deep breath.
And we'll do the next part. I thought it was the extrovert that I had to have to be successful. And it wasn't true. Our biggest office are introvert systems people that are passionate about the profession, which is weird. Because they grind it out and they stick to, consistency is the new intensity. It's right. Consistency. The type A wild gets some big rush and it goes up and down. But it was interesting. Not that the type A, like my personality is not going to be successful. I was shocked at how many introvert were able to create some great value. And to me, they were so grounded in the philosophy, and they didn't question it. They didn't question themselves. They weren't scared of their own shadow. They weren't scared of themselves. They were so strong in the chiropractic principles that it was okay if they were wrong once. It was okay if they didn't get a result one time. It was okay because their principles were so strong. So that's one of the things. And then their ability to adhere to a systematic approach, like using your processes that you guys teach and just sticking to it versus, oh, there's a shiny light over here. Let me try this. My brother said there's somebody here. It's like, stick to what you guys teach and it creates outcome, right? They don't need to keep running all over the place. And some of these guys running all over, they just spread their bandwidth too much and they burn it. So what does the profession need? I think we need a lot more successful chiropractors.
Amen, brother.
I think we need I need chiropractors to be, more successful than surgeons. Every one of them, more cash flow helps our profession because they can give back. They can showcase. Poor, scared chiropractors doesn't help the profession too much. So I want to help chiropractors. And it's not just prosperity for money's sake, but it drives value because we need the money in the profession. So,
do you see any pattern to how recent some of the kids graduated from school? I call them kids. Younger people coming out of school now versus 10 years ago versus 20 years ago. Do you see it different? Because I'm sure anyone that's coming out who's in their 20s now are probably tired of hearing that all millennials are this or all. So I'm sure you have a little bit better perspective because you have a bigger spectrum to choose from.
Yeah, I think I can't knock that millennial mindset because they have good core values. I mean, they balance their life. They're not going to work 80 hours a week. Not that they don't believe in the vision, but they're more balanced in a way. It's going to be harder the first 3 years, the millennial mindset, when they have to get going. They got to put in that extra time. So I think they have a little tough time. But I think they have a good sense of their core values. Which I can respect. I think they don't appreciate some of the work like your dad's legacy and some of these greats, that it's all between the ears. I think they think that's a little hokey or a little too much, but they get it. Enough scar tissue builds on their body. They realize Headspace is 90% of the journey. And I told you the story while we're getting on. We have a practice in one town 5 miles away. Literally, one's $1 million practice, one's struggling to pay bills. One's $20 a visit, literally one's $80 a visit within 4 or 5 miles. And it's hard to blame the weather because the clouds go 5 miles. There was no mountain range in between these two offices. So that really solidified it for me because we have 2 in one town in about 5 different towns, and they're usually a disparity. And I think it's all the Headspace.
So if you're saying 90% of success is Headspace, which is, we wholeheartedly agree, that's what we espouse by without a doubt. And we've been kind of running that mantra for a long time. And I've always said how important it's more important to work harder on yourself than you do on your vocation, whatever it is. What would you recommend in terms of people working on their Headspace to make it that much stronger, to become a better version of themselves?
I think, I could tell success just spending a day watching someone's habits. You guys know the rituals of the day dictate, the way people are going to process. I think they got to watch their words, the words they use in dialogue. My daughter said can't a couple of years ago and she was grounded. They were like, can't.
No dinner for 3 weeks. I love it.
Don't say the word can. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. We got to
not in our vocabulary, not in our dictionary.
So, I think they got to watch the way they process data in their brain, the way they allow themselves to think and process, because that dictates behaviors and outcomes. And I'm speaking to the choir with you guys, but I really think that's the key. And then habits, like how are they processing their day? What are they doing in the middle of the day? Are they rejuvenating and going through cycles?
How they start off the day?
Yeah, how they start the day, how they end the day. Gratitude. Gratitude for me is what got me through all my adversity. Is I have immense gratitude for the ability to breathe and see and walk. So I can get through anything with those three. You know, unless I go blind and lose my legs, I'm in trouble. Other than that, you can't knock me down.
So I want to, with your permission, sort of throw a curveball and start to move in a different direction, because when we spoke to you originally, we were just so enthralled with the fact that you, like we said, you came right out of school. I think you said within the first 6 years you had 6 clinics. Like you were rolling. You were just doing everything you could to get the message of chiropractic out. And then somewhere along the way, you also got enthralled with the functional medicine side, or I shouldn't say medicine, the sort of the functional health side. Could you just walk us through where that transition came in for you?
That was a personal journey. I was into fitness since I was young, and I started really working on the diet, and I became a bodybuilder, and I won a bodybuilding, so skinny old me. And I realized, you know, I worked out 20 years, and 2 years of a perfect diet, my physique changed more in 24 months than it did in 20 years. So it started in a fitness realm. And then I remember I learned about food allergies in the 94, 95, right when we were graduating. And I had my sister take a test, and she had an allergy to milk. And the girl had headaches all the time, scratchy throat, sinuses all the time. And she took out all the milk, and it didn't do anything. And then she said, I'm just putting a little coffee creamer, just a touch of that a day. I said, you know what? Try to take the last thing out and see what happens. And her life changed. Allergies, asthma, fatigue, her scratchy throat, everything's gone. I was like, wow, there's something to this. So I got into fitness nutrition first. And then I got into morbid obesity. You know, the 400 or 500 pounds can't get out of their house. That was so interesting because it wasn't about weight loss. It was about hormones and toxins, and it wasn't just calories. It was like, these people have really massive imbalance. And then I got into terminal cancer, where I started working with people that were in hospice, and you get a couple of those cases from 90 days to live to 10 years raising their kids healthy 10 years later. And you start to really see the body just needs good nerve function, good water, good oxygen, and you can save lives. So I took that journey for about 20 years. And that's how I started formulating products, because I was using 50 different companies. And I was the guy that pre-post tested everything. Pre-post tested hormone, stool analysis, pre-post stool analysis, pre-post blood. I just want to see change. I was again, chiro, pre-post x-ray, everyone nonstop. I was obsessed with data. So it drove me to see what products worked and didn't work. And I created a line by pre-post testing everything over the last 10 years. So we have about 40 products in a line now that's used in about 100 clinics. We just started shipping to UK. We're launching Nigeria right now, and Australia in January. I went to Nigeria last year to speak on chiropractic. Had tea with the vice president in the White House, talked about legalizing chiro. That was crazy. He's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I was like, that was easy. But yeah, so that's been my journey, and put it in the 30 clinics so I could see the pre-post tests in large scale. I know the products have outcomes. So, and then now we're offering that, like I told you guys, the lab testing that we can talk about as we proceed.
So yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about that now? Tell us a little bit about the program, the name of the website, the lab testing, and so forth. Let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, so especially with this COVID deal, you know, taking a step back, I think we were given a miracle when we had this OxyContin crisis that chiropractic should have took and ran with. They're like, heroin or chiropractic? Right. We can't win that one. We got problems, right? We didn't capitalize on that, so they throw us another one and said, okay, how about this one, COVID? So, you know, we got to grab one of these days, right, and win the game. But with this COVID crisis, we're realizing that it's not the strength of the virus, it's the strength of the host. And we got to look at immune system. Part's chiropractic, part is nutrition. Yep. So my dream in this is to keep chiropractors, focus on subluxation-based chiropractors, but don't ignore this nutrition component. You either refer it out or bring it in, one of the two, but you can't ignore it. So we created a program where you can do virtual lab testing. You hand your patient a simple requisition form. They go get a lab. It comes back and one of our coaches interprets the lab, does a video via email to the patient, and sends the recommendations via email to the doctor and the patient.
So tell me about the coaches. What is their background? What's their credentials?
Functional neurologists in the chiropractic field.
So the chiropractors who have a neurological specialty?
Two chiropractors, been in the field for 20 years, Carrick Institute graduate guys, been in the field at least a couple of decades. We also have dietitians, PhDs, health coaches. We have a pretty extensive team of people, but it's starting out with these two chiropractic neurologists. And it's interesting, we bumped into each other. They're the same cloth as me. They want subluxation-based chiropractors to use nutrition. They don't want to take chiropractors out of chiropractic and make them do nutrition. Right. That's not what we're after at all.
I'm glad. And by the way, I'm thrilled to hear that, by the way, because I see that all the time. Right?
I took the diplomat course, and most diplomats in nutrition, they all go nutrition, they leave chiro. I'm like, that's like the most foolish.
Missing the whole point. Right.
You're missing the whole game here.
Right. Structure, function.
Yeah, we want to honor the functional. It's great work, but it's not better than chiropractic. So just add it in a virtual sense, and you win the game. You'll be the leader in your community and natural health, adding this component. So,
so I know you're really sort of in beta, and you're going to launch beginning of the year to your clinics. And like you guys said, some of these docs start to search out other things because of their insecurities on their chiropractic philosophy. But the way you're doing it, it's sort of one feeds off of the other as opposed to a replacement. And you had made a very nice offer. So could you just share that so we can
sure. Yeah, so we're in beta test. We have 5 offices inside my group that we're going through the cycle. And our goal is to handle the metabolic subluxation. We have the vertebral subluxation, and people's metabolic function is skewed. Blood sugar, inflammation, we all know all these issues. So that's the metabolic subluxation. And we want to handle it at the same time as the vertebral subluxation. And these 2 chiropractors will edify the chiropractic work and hold you as the superstar and edify you and your community as the leader. So it's going to be a really powerful addition to the practice. So I was telling Rick that we can add about 3 to 5 more in the beta test where you guys can work hand in hand, no charge, with these chiropractic neurologists. They will actually do the evaluation on your patients, handle everything. When they recommend nutrients, they put them on subscription. You're going to get the profit. You'll get the email and the video so you know what your patient's getting, and your patient's on subscription, and you get a check every 7 days via PayPal right into your bank account. So you're helping the client, you're reducing inflammation, you're making profit, and you're getting better outcomes. So yeah, if anyone's interested, unfortunately, I can't take too many in this first group. You can all start January if you want, but I could go up to 5 people if you're interested. Our support line is support@aceva.com. So it's support@ACEVA, and just put in the subject line lab integration. And one of these gentlemen, these doctors, chiropractors, will reach out to you and spend some time seeing if you're a good fit for the program, and get you going with new patients.
Awesome. So as you said, it's the chiropractic part, multiple clinics in a franchise model, bringing in the system, as you said, systems, people run the systems, but systems run the business, and bringing in a system to sort of help these docs remove the metabolic subluxations, all leading towards some better research to go after some of the adversaries, which I loved.
Yeah. Yeah, so the nonprofit's called healthmissions.org. We do mission trips. We delayed them because of COVID, but we had one to Dominican, Kenya this year. Susan Mitchell went with us to Ecuador 2 years ago, Galapagos Islands. We adjusted people out there. So we do missions. We do, and it's provide, protect, and promote chiropractic. Provide is the mission trips. Protect is research. And promote is just free chiropractic advertising anywhere we can. So first off, we'd love you to be an advocate for the group. You pay like $97, and for chiros, that's like sticking a knife in your carotid, asking for $97. So don't kill me. Don't kill me.
By Goodyear, what?
But if you want to support the profession, it goes to research and whatnot. Something like 97 if you're interested in joining that mission. But then it's research. We want to publish. We have three studies published, more in demographic. My first personal case I did was at Illinois State University. I was doing a lecture on ADHD. This is how I got into it. And one of the guys in the front row sitting there in a suit and like this notepad, and he's taking notes all the time, like he's up to something. At the end of the workshop, he sat and asked me like 20 questions, sat there for an hour. And he goes, I'm the dean of psychology at Illinois State University, and I want to prove you wrong. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I'll give you patients. He goes, I want to bring PhD level students into a classroom that have ADHD and prove that it can't change behavior. So I said, okay. So I said, I'll give the care free. So I gave 20 kids free care. These people went into the classrooms in the public school and took notes on behavior interruptions and all that, and they marked it all down. And then we adjusted them. And there was like 20 to start, and it ended with like 6 or something like that. 2 of them, and this is crazy, reversed the diagnosis, didn't have ADHD after this, and by the psychologist. And it says in the report, I could send you this, it says, warranted of a large scale study. And he said, Joe, I'm proven wrong. This requires more research. So that was like, how do I do more research? So of course, spent the next 5 years like, all right, now I got to figure this out.
Your foray into research?
It falls on you.
Yeah, so I'm like, now I got to figure it out. But yeah, we want to publish large scale research, segmenting data by all clinics together. So if anyone's interested in our movement, we'd love to talk about unifying data, segmenting it by condition, so we can publish the great work all of you on this call are doing day in and day out. That I'm so proud of. Everyone on the call in this mission in chiropractic.
You, with all the clinics that you have and that are going to be restarting soon, obviously coming up, do you require certain data points as part of it, or purely?
We're working towards that. We're
working. You have so many right at your fingertips, really, hundreds.
Yeah, we're working towards that. Refining how you note take and how you do evaluations, and that's the gap, right? In chiro, you walk in the office. You don't know if you're going to get spanked, adjusted. You don't know if you're getting palm read. You don't know what's happening. And we need that unification in chiropractic.
Right.
And that's what we want to create. Yes.
So that's the ultimate goal.
We had we did have a question from one of the viewers. And in terms of these lab consults, the patient works with the individual chiro, goes to get the lab work done, and it's their doctor, it's their chiro who just basically puts it through. Your docs go through it and send, here's the report, this is what you need. But the patient is not directly working with these chiropractic neurologists, et cetera. They're just getting the feedback from the lab tests.
Yeah, they're going to get, you can decide which way you want to do it. We can send the email to the patient with a video saying, hey, so your doctor, Mark Johnson, had request you got the lab. I'm here with the interpretation. This video will explain everything. And below is the recommendation of products to satisfy these 3 gaps that you have in the lab work. And that email can go to you as the doctor and the patient, or you could say, just send to me. I'll get the data and I'll explain to them. If you want totally hands off, let them pass it right to them. If you want to be that doctor out of the mix, then you get the data and interpret it. And you can charge $200 for that visit, and you have a board certified chiropractic neurologist with 20 years experience in nutrition. You don't have to be the guru. Let them be the guru, and you could do the consult and pass it on.
So what's the follow-up? Because you talked about pre and post results before. So now they make the recommendations. They're following on the nutritional products based on their labs. What's the follow-up after that to get?
We recommend in 6 months to redo that test, and then the neurologist can follow up again, or the doctor.
You repeat the same test 6 months, though.
Yes, our group is going to be teaching starting in January. They're called on-point seminars, getting on point in all these conditions. If anyone wants to do this work in their office and not have the virtual person, you can do it all yourself if you're interested. some chiros are towards the end of their career and they'd like to lighten up the stress in their body, and they may want to do this work and hire a chiropractor and oversee. That's okay. We just don't want you to negate the chiro component. We don't mind if you take this piece and then hire a chiro and teach them the philosophy. So either way, virtual, or we'll teach you the entire process starting in January.
I like the systems though.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So just we asked the same question of almost everybody, just in the interest of time. So you have been around enough and met enough chiropractors and seen enough struggling practices, et cetera, right? So what would you say to these chiropractors that want more of something, more volume, more money, more excitement, more passion? They wish they were getting out of chiropractic what the three of us are getting out of it, which is passion for what we do every day. We're helping change lives. We're making money doing it. We're just seeming to live this dream. And there's this whole other part of the chiropractic profession never really gets the sweetness that we got out of it. What do you say to these chiros that are struggling? How could you get them onto our path?
I think, the retention is such a key component. And I think chiros, they start out on the conversion in an intellectual conversation, teaching about ischial tuberosities and, brachial plexus on the conversion. Conversion is all emotional. It's not intellectual. Retention is intellectual. So on the front end, less words, more listening, and get into that emotional state. And you guys probably teach all this stuff, and that's the empathetic connection, creating the gap between their current reality, where they want to go, fill the gap with your plan, and hit that emotional chord of what they want, because that desire is emotional. And then on the back end, to retain them, they're making that decision intellectually. So show them results, explain to them where they were, quantify chiropractic impact, because it's going to be, they got to decide if they're going to invest their time, money, energy, and focus of their life to this thing of chiropractic long term. They just got rid of pain, but you got to show them how this is a healthy process to maintain a viable human being, versus just pain relief. And that's an intellectual story. So you look at your workshop in the front end, your re-sign in the back end, and your tick in between, mastering your ability to communicate that tick on a daily basis between that workshop and the wellness care at the end. That's the bookends for me. And then teaching the day-to-day. I think that's where the average chiro loses, is the day-to-day. Keep them on point about the message about chiropractic. So that would be my close the back door.
Well, you said earlier, one of the traits or characteristics is what, from a lot of these chiropractors, whether they're young, new, coming out of school or not, that they're grounded in their philosophy. They have the passion. They're certain about what they're doing. You mentioned they're not really questioning things because they have the certainty. And if you're questioning things and you don't have it, then find a way to become more certain. Read, study, go find mentors, get a coach, do whatever. Go visit other successful offices, right?
Yeah, you don't question the principle.
Right.
Even if someone's not an extrovert, they don't question the principle. So too many doctors come out, they don't get results the first visit, or they don't get results in a case, and it's like they think chiropractic is worthless. Look at medicine right now, 89% failure on ventilators. And they're still ordering more and shipping them in from other countries. If we had an 89% failure in chiropractic, I mean, what would we do? We may fail 3% and we go home and crying like, chiropractic, I don't know about this. It's just so silly. They're putting a leaf blower in the mouth and shoving air in and killing 89%. And they're not questioning their principle. So I think you got to stay on the ground no matter what the outcome is. Question your application and make your application better. That's okay. But don't question the principle or question your intent. It's okay not to get the results every time. So yeah, that's what I think most people should focus on.
And then the bottom line you also mentioned was about this Headspace thing about, you mentioned daily routines. What do you do in the morning? What are you doing during the day? What are you doing to manage your state throughout the day? Because there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot going on. So if you really want to elevate your game to the next level, and everybody defines success differently, your legacy happens to be the research and leaving chiropractic in good hands, meaning, hey, we've proved it works for the long term, people living much healthier, lifestyles, and you want to show people, hey, it can be done. It should be done. Right?
What I got of it is Joe just wants to piss a couple people off. That's what I got out of that.
That's great. I was speaking at Steve Franson's seminar, and I said, marketing for me is just get pissed off. You got to be pissed off at what's going on. It's the easiest marketing you could have. Everyone started laughing.
That's it. So
yeah, you got to have a little edge.
And to me, look, the lesson is this. Here you are, just like the rest of us. We get through school, and there was something that just turned you not only on right out of the box, but here you are all these years later. You've got, dozens of practices and the systems and the business acumen to make that happen.
And the vision.
The ability to take, okay, here's a curiosity about fitness, nutrition, and bodybuilding, making your own product, manufacturing, lab acquisition. You're studying business, you're learning system processes, systems integration, fearlessly moving forward methodically, understanding Headspace, understanding communication skill. Now you're talking research, which is a whole other intellectual side of details of specific rules that have to be followed to be able to make something publishable. And, again, some of these people are like, what do you mean? I'm just a chiropractor. I just crack backs. Like, it's a mind blower. But to us, you're the vision of what's possible. So what Brett and I believe in is possibility thinking, where you're just someone with clarity, tenacity, and a vision to leave a legacy behind. And the rest can be learned. It's all learnable.
I think really it's the chiros in their way because they think it's about them. This has nothing to do with you. It has to do with your outcome. So get out of the way. You deliver something, but this is nothing about you. I tell chiropractors, get out of the way. This isn't about you. Well, I'm too good. I'm too short. I'm too quiet. I'm too this. I'm too that. It has nothing to do with you. Get out of the way, deliver the message and deliver the goods. Tell the story and deliver the goods. It's all you got to do. So stop getting in the way of what you have to deliver. It's not about the chiropractor. I don't care. My name's not on the building. I'm not like chasing the dollar for the bigger house. My mission is to help people live better lives. And that's all it is. There's nothing more than that. I love it. Today, the text on my phone was from a guy. It was funny. My one new patient last year was in a wheelchair, and he saw me at a restaurant, and we're talking chiropractic, and I used the Italian language like this, screaming. He's sitting in a wheelchair like, whoa. And he's like, do you mind if I ask what you do? Long story short, it was one of those miracle cases, 4 years in a wheelchair, 2 sets of the Atlas, comes in 2 days later with a cane, walking in. And he just ran today 3 miles. I'm sorry, not last year, the year before. 2 years today that he walked in my office, and he said, meet me at the park. So I met him at the park, and I watched him run that 3 mile, and he was in a wheelchair for 4 years. So guys, what profession could you do and have that? What money could give you the feeling I had today? If I had $20 million in my hand right now, it couldn't give me the warmth, the energy, the love that I have from that man. You couldn't pay for that. We're in the greatest profession in history. Selfishly, it serves us so much, guys, but get out of the way and just serve more people. Just stop questioning everything along the journey. We got it teed up with this COVID and this Oxycontin. What more do we need to serve the masses and explain chiropractic? When we started 20 years ago, the messaging, we didn't have to fight. Now they just got to fight heroin versus chiropractic. Come on, guys. This is an easy battle. This is an easy battle here. Really just get out of the way and just live with such gratitude for your ability to lay your hands on someone and change someone's life through 5 layers of muscle with no knives, no pills. You don't even need to have clothes on. You got bare hands. You walk to work. You can move bones and change lives. There's no tools you need. It's a beautiful, beautiful opportunity that you have. So have gratitude about that, and it'll take you a million miles.
Well, you just said it all. So in closing, we're going to watch our time. When you're in love mode and when you're in gratitude mode, that will supersede any fear mode that you have. And we've always said, listen, fear is a part of it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Because when you do take yourself out of the equation, you're focused on something bigger than yourself. That's where the magic is. And you've done that. And you even shared with us earlier in the beginning of this process, you failed a bunch of times. A process you didn't quite understand. But because it was bigger than you, and that vision and that purpose and passion was so much bigger than you, you kept at it until you figured it out. And once you figured out and you put the right systems in place, it all just started to happen. So, and also you mentioned your one new patient last year. For those of you who don't know, he doesn't practice full time anymore. He's overseeing this whole process right now and helping people on a much bigger scale. That's why, just in case they were wondering. Well, listen, on behalf of Chiro Destiny, myself and Rick and Larry Markson and Debbie and Kimberly and all of our membership and all of our viewership, I thought tonight was fabulous. We got to see someone with a huge vision. We talked about legacy. We talked about systems, procedures. We talked about how to integrate all of this. We talked about structure, being a chiropractor, but bringing in the metabolic subluxation correction as part of this now and these labs. And for those of you who want to take part in this beta processing, we've listed your website and information to reach out to be a part of it. Something that you certainly can add as an ancillary procedure to put the two together so people can live a much healthier, better lifestyle for sure. So I applaud you for what you're doing. And I have no doubt in my mind that in just a matter of time, you're going to come up with this research that's going to solidify what we're doing and finally give people, probably our own profession first, the certainty that we need to say, hey, we're here, we're not going anywhere. And not only that, but we're helping a lot of people. And I try not to look at it as, you know, us versus medical. It's been set up that way, but what they do in certain respects, they do some good things. Certain respects, not so much. I think we have to emerge now as the leader in health and lifestyle and take our rightful place. But as chiropractors, as you mentioned before, that's up to us. We've got to take it by the horns and do what we need to do. And step up to the plate and stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and focus on, as you mentioned, delivering the best product that we can deliver. Why? To help as many people as possible.
Awesome.
Can't thank you enough, man. Just awesome. You know, look forward to crossing paths again. And once there's some travel happening, we'll definitely get our groups together and we'll change a lot of lives.
Absolutely.
Love it. Love it. Thanks for the opportunity, guys. Thanks for carrying Larry's legacy. He's a brilliant man, and I just love what you guys are doing. Thanks for everything you do.
Thanks so much, Joe.
Yeah, buddy. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again.
You well.